tonight. Our first snowfall of the season is a record, and it's not even winter yet. DeKalb Police are teaching women how to confront attackers, and a first Thanksgiving celebration for international students at NIU. We'll explain. NTC News Tonight starts right now.
You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
It came sooner than most of us expected, but welcome to winter, a month early. Good evening, I'm Stoney Royce.
And I'm Berogan. Here in DeKalb County, we got about 7.5 inches of snow dumped on us over the weekend. And in case you're wondering, that's a record for our first snowfall of the season. Today's a whole lot better than what it was on Saturday. Here's what the roads look like this afternoon. A little wet, but cleared up for the most part. And if you're having a tough time adjusting to how cold it suddenly got, we may have some good news to share when Emery Dhanes joins us in a few minutes. But it's still slippery in places, so DeKalb Police are reminding us to be careful while driving.
Not everyone is using caution on the icy roads, though. Sheriff's deputies say they arrested a Mendota man over the weekend after he led officers on a high-speed chase. 27-year-old Jeremy Henry is accused of hitting speeds of more than 90 miles an hour in a chase on Route 30 that went through the villages of Waterman and Shabana. Deputies say they had to use stop sticks to blow out the tires on Henry's truck. They say that by the time they had caught up to it, Henry had vanished and the truck was abandoned in an alley. But apparently, Henry also abandoned his wallet and his ID inside the truck.
DeKalb Police are helping give a sense of empowerment to women.
Reporter Shada Cook shows us how they're teaching women to protect themselves from attackers.
The DeKalb Police Department is helping give a sense of empowerment to women in DeKalb and neighboring cities. RAD, or Rape Aggression Defense, is a series of self-defense classes being held at the station.
The instructors tonight are Detective Paul Mott and myself. We're both officers with the City of DeKalb.
What they're going to be learning is risk reduction strategies, defensive tactics that are suited to best to their ability. They're going to learn to make a decision whether to resist or not. They'll also learn about date rape drugs and how to use their own personal weapon.
The third annual event provides information on laws about sexual assault, rape, defensive tactics and mindset, basic principles for self-defense, hands-on practice, and much more over the 3 evenings of instruction. Even NIU students showed up at the station to take advantage of the class.
Yeah, I think it's really important for every woman to learn how to protect herself out in the real world.
Thanks to the officers at the police department, these women can significantly decrease their chances of becoming a victim. For NTC News, I'm Shada Cook.
The police department offers the training every year free of charge.
A Hinckley man is in critical condition after shooting himself after some tense moments with the police. Hinckley police found 49-year-old Robert Bohannon threatening 2 people with a .38 caliber pistol before turning the gun on himself. The 2 victims were able to escape.
Hinckley has some history-making news worth telling you about. The Harlem Globetrotters are celebrating their 90th anniversary there as part of their world tour. The team says it is planning to play a game in January at the Hinckley Big Rock High School. The event is sold out already, and here's why. Hinckley is where the Globetrotters played their first game ever.
Across the state, more prison inmates are being released on parole, as lawmakers are trying to reduce the prison population. But funding to help parolees stay out of trouble has dropped dramatically because of the state budget crisis.
The DeKalb City Council is debating if its members should get a pay raise. Alderman Dave Baker wants to increase council members' salary from just over $5,000 to at least $12,000. The council is expected to discuss the proposal at tonight's meeting.
It's not always easy to get kids interested in reading.
No, but NIU's STEM program is doing just that. NTC's Patrick Oslin shows us STEM is making reading come to life for some students by acting out real-life scenes from a popular series of books.
There's no camera supposed to be here!
STEM Read hosts semi-annual events based on young adult novels and teaches high school-aged children the sciences behind those books.
The field trips are really the big thing that we do. We do one field trip in the fall and one field trip in the spring. And between those field trips, we have online materials that go along with the books. So we do expert interviews, we do interactive games, we do lesson plans, and a variety of other things that kids can interact with online.
The Fall 2015 event is based off of the quarantine novels written by Thomas Voorhees and Lex Raby, who formed the author duo Lex Thomas and are present at the event.
I mean, it's just
it's a treat, first of all.
Yeah, it takes so long to figure these things out and to write them, and then they're just living in your head.
But the duo say that it is exciting to see their books acted out in front of them and are happy to be at the event.
When I heard that they had an abandoned middle school and kids are gonna get run wild, that sounded like the coolest thing. Like, I would love to do that. Like in high school, if you told me there was an abandoned school, you're gonna get to color your hair, pick a gang, and run wild.
Running wild with a food drop activity from the books to end the day. For NTC News, I'm Pat Olson.
NIU STEM Read hosts semi-annual field trips to get high school kids excited about science, technology, engineering, and math fields in hopes to inspire them to go to college.
Construction on the new expansion to the DeKalb Public Library is coming to an end.
And NTC's Stoney Royce right here tells us what the expansion is leading to.
Excavators, steamrollers, and bobcats may not be the quiet images that come to mind when you think about a library, but here in downtown DeKalb, that's exactly what you will find over the next few months. Construction is on track for the library expansion's grand opening on Martin Luther King Day next January. The library is close to getting the space it badly needs. Construction is nearly complete on the massive 45,000 square foot expansion. The long overdue expansion is about more than just bringing the library into the 21st century. It's finally giving the library some much needed room to grow. I sat down with library communications manager Edith Craig to try and understand why the expansion needed to happen now.
When the library was built in 1930, and it was built for a population of 8,000 people in DeKalb. And so this is now 2015, we're a population of 44,000 people, and the library really hasn't changed in size. And so we were bursting at the seams here with programming space and material space.
Just to give you an idea about why the library needs more space, I'm standing here in the racks on the second floor, and as you can see, there's not a lot of elbow room. In this section alone, which is about 7 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and approximately 20 feet long, you can find everything from the history of the AK-47 to, see here, why dogs love us.
The library will be closing its doors the first week of December for 6 weeks while they move everything into their new space, but until then, the library is still open for business.
The library is closing December 7th through Martin Luther King Day 2016.
It's going to cost $300,000 to winterize the Stevens building to protect the progress made on the building renovations so far.
Earlier this month, the NIU Board of Trustees approved the spending as part of an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Capital Development Board. The winterizing project was expected to be completed by mid-December, but the first snow of the season came sooner than was expected. The university does not know when the new Stevenson building will be open for use. 'Tis the season to be jolly, but everyone may not be in the season's mood of snowflakes and winter's coats.
So we asked people around the NIU campus for their thoughts on the sudden snowfall. Here's what you told us.
We went out and we played in the snow. We made snow angels and we ate a lot of snow.
We were both inside and we were working on stuff and we were really bored, and then we just saw that it was snowing, and so we ran out. And
I definitely did. I was just planning it out there.
I did not plan the snow this weekend.
Why not?
I hate the snow.
Why?
Because
Students disliking the cold, it may prevent them from cheering the Huskies on at tomorrow's home game.
Let's hope the weather isn't too terrible outside to get the Huskies out to fill the stands. Emery Dhanes is out at our weather station now with updates.
The past weekend's snow event left DeKalb with roughly 9 inches of snow, and other places saw as much as 16 inches. Luckily, we've seen some sunshine, which has helped melt some of the snow and ice off the roads, and this week, warmer temperatures will help melt even more snow. Let's take a look at Tuesday, where we'll see temperatures generally in the upper 30s with sunny skies. To hear about a chance of rain around Thanksgiving, stay with us. You're watching NTC News Tonight. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all made it through this weekend's snow event. It was Chicago's second largest November snow event for the past 120 years, so pretty intense for our first snowfall of the year. But since then, we have seen some sunshine, which has helped melt some of that ice and snow. Today, we reached a high around 32 degrees, which is a little below normal, which we're not used to that. But we will be getting warmer later this week, so don't worry. And then tonight we'll experience an overnight low about 19, pretty chilly out there. If you were outside today, you probably saw clouds in the morning, but those gave way to very sunny skies this afternoon, which again melted a lot of that snow, making some of the roads a little bit safer to drive on. Let's take a look at the larger scale where we had this cold front that went through this weekend, which is why we were so cold. But as we go into Tuesday, we'll see this low and associated warm front that will come through our area Wednesday into Thursday, which will bring warmer temperatures for us. So that should be nice. But as we go into Wednesday evening, we will see chance of rain in our area, and that rain will continue throughout Thursday. Thanksgiving Day, we could see up to an inch of rain. So be very careful if you have to travel on Thanksgiving. Now let's take it back to tonight, where we'll see mostly cloudy conditions with an overnight low of about 19 degrees, and we do have a chance for some fog in the overnight hours. And that fog will continue into Tuesday morning, but it should burn off as the day goes on. Then we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high of about 34 degrees. And then for Tuesday night, warming up a little bit for our overnight lows, a low of about 29 degrees, partly cloudy conditions. Then let's take a look at our 5-day weather forecast. Again, Tuesday high of about 34, then Wednesday climbing those temperatures. Thursday we could reach 50, but with all this snow on the ground, might not get that warm, but certainly warmer than it has been today. And again, for Thanksgiving, we do have that chance of rain on and off throughout the day on Thursday. So if you are traveling, just be careful of that. The roads could be pretty slick, especially with all of this rain and snow melting. We could actually see some chances for flooding in some areas. And then unfortunately, as we go into the weekend, those temperatures are dropping down again, high of about 36 degrees on Saturday with sunny conditions. That's all for weather, so let's send it back to the desk.
An arrest in the murder of a pastor's pregnant wife.
And terrorist strike in the African nation of Mali. Here's what's happening in today's World Watch.
Mali remains in a state of emergency as it reels from last week's deadly hotel attacks in the capital. The UN says the death toll has now risen to 22. The Al Akbar news agency reports 2 Islamist militant groups have claimed responsibility.
French President Francois Hollande is meeting with the British Prime Minister David Cameron to discuss the attacks and the fight against ISIS. He says both countries agreed to greater border control efforts, more effective way of screening people, and greater data sharing.
Police have arrested a man in connection with the murder of a pregnant woman in Indianapolis. Amanda Blackburn died after a home invasion earlier this month. Police announced the arrest of 18-year-old Larry Taylor in connection with her death.
A mega merger could be coming to the world of pharmaceuticals. Pfizer and Allergan announced this morning that they would combine to create the world's largest pharmaceutical company. Both companies hope the deal will be finalized by the end of next year. And that's today's World Watch.
Advanced technology is being used for some of the simplest things, like reading a book. But that isn't stopping the improvements to the DeKalb Public Library.
The library is closing for a few days in December so they can finish transforming the building into something more state-of-the-art. Here with us now is Dee Coover, the director of the DeKalb Public Library. This must be really exciting for you time.
It's a very exciting time for us, and it has taken a long time to get to this point. Several years ago, the state of Illinois released sold bonds for $50 million for public library improvements. There was a very highly competitive grant writing process, and we applied for and received a grant of $11.6 million out of that $50 million. So the reason you ask is why, when aren't we all going to go digital? The answer is there are many kinds of digital technologies, and our 85-year-old building was not adequate for those. So we are expanding and improving, and I'll tell you more if you as the conversation progresses.
Right. Well, you know, somehow you've managed to keep things going with all the work being done around you. Can you tell us what's actually being done with the new construction?
Absolutely. $19.2 million is spent on the new construction. This is a very high-tech building. So what you will not see is the infrastructure that is high-tech. You will see the new, I'm going to call them gadgets, because they'll probably change in 5 years. But what you won't see is the 3 feet between floor that modern buildings now take for the cabling, all Cat 6 cabling. What you will see when you walk into the new, when we rehab the current building, are 3D printers, laser cutters, etc. But what you will not see is that basic infrastructure, which our building, which is on the National Register of Historic Buildings, could not accommodate.
What would you say is the biggest change you've seen in how the library has been embracing
Oh, the
technology?
digital divide, without a question, the digital world. When I became a librarian in 1965, well, any librarian from probably 1800 could have come back until what would you say, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and it was roughly the same kind of thing. But with the digital world, if you did not keep abreast, and you're young, so maybe it's your parents, grandparents certainly, if they did not keep up with the digital divide, they are simply left behind. That world does not exist for them. And what the data shows is that 52% of the households who have an income of under $25,000 do not even have broadband at home. So they need to go to a common center. And libraries generally throughout the United States provide that common center. There is no fee applied to those. Our tax dollars pay for those. So in DeKalb now, over 60% of the children are on free and reduced price lunches. So there's this huge demand for the digital inclusion. So it's not just material, it's simply to get unemployment now. You cannot do it by pencil and paper. You have to do it online. To apply for most jobs, it's online. Resumes are emailed routinely. We are still incredibly teaching people how to open an email account.
Now, you kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning when we started this conversation, but could you explain a little bit as to why a library needs to be larger for a digital area?
Absolutely. We have learned, you have learned, people learn in different kinds of ways. So probably let's use the example of children. Children learn by manipulating objects, children learn by hearing, children learn by seeing, they learn by reading, they learn by touching. So as we're redefining what literacy is not just the visual text. It is cultural literacy, it is financial literacy, it is computer literacy. We need to have methodologies for that to be available to everybody. And in a democracy, the public library becomes that equal access. So why libraries? It's accessibility. It's accessibility for all. Here's a little fact for the day. The Andrew Carnegie libraries, he built over 2,500 libraries. Now, Andrew Carnegie isn't alive to correct me, but he was a robber baron. He did not build 2,500 libraries for the good of the communities. He built them for workforce development. That's our modern term, but for the immigrants coming in, he wanted a place for them to improve their skills. I had an opportunity to go to one of the many goodbye events for Mayor Daley II, And the one I had an opportunity to go to was very high-powered. It was all about the international role of Chicago in the community. And I raised my hand. And softball question, Mayor Daley, you've built more libraries than any mayor in the history of the United States. Why? He said, well, he beamed from ear to ear. This was a question that, you know, easy. 2 reasons. One, you build a library and you immediately improve the economic development of that area of the community. They're well lit, they're safe, they bring safety to that community. The second reason is for education. Education is birth to death, and the public library supplies that. So Mayor Daley and Andrew Carnegie, the DeKalb Public Library, all of us have the same equal access for all.
Well, Dee, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
You're welcome.
We wish you the best with your continued success with reopening, and we're looking forward to seeing it when it's all done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to NTC Sports. I'm Ryan Mack. The weekend in Chicago sports can be summed up in just 2 words: bad break. Let's begin with the Bulls game on Friday. The Bulls took on Steph Curry and the undefeated Golden State Warriors. Let's look at some of the highlights from that game. We go straight to the 4th quarter. Bulls down by 3. Kirk Heinrich buries a 3-pointer to tie it at 89 apiece. Next play, Bulls back on defense. Steph Curry shoots the 3 but misses. A little scurry to get the ball there, and Klay Thompson finds Curry on the arc, and he drops that one. 2 minutes later, Harrison Barnes has the rock. He finds Draymond Green down low. Green behind the back pass to Curry again, and he lays it in, and the Warriors keep up the scoring. Draymond Green again now drives into the lane, but finds Harrison Barnes on the outside for a tough 3-pointer. A tough loss for the Bulls at 106-94. The Bulls take on the Trailblazers tomorrow at 9. Now let's move over to the NFL. The Chicago Bears came so close to overtime in their game with the Denver Broncos yesterday. Let's take a look at how that game ended. First quarter 0-0. The Broncos' Brock Osweiler finds Demaryius Thomas wide open in the middle of the field. Thomas finds his way to the end zone for a 48-yard touchdown to put the Broncos up. 4th quarter now, Osweiler again fires this one to Cody Latimer for a 10-yard touchdown pass. Now late in the 4th quarter, Jeremy Langford gets the ball. He plunges through into the end zone to put the Bears within 2, but Langford is at it again with the 2-point conversion to tie the game. He's stopped short of the goal line. An unfortunate ending for the Bears. They lose this one, 15-17. Now staying with the game of football, but moving over to the college ranks, we go to the Ole Miss versus LSU game on Saturday for a high-flying hit. This is today's play of the day. Ole Miss has the pigskin on the 11-yard line. Chad Kelly, the quarterback, he is off. Kelly runs the ball in but gets hit hard near the end zone. He's flipped over on this huge hit, cartwheeling. It looks painful, but he got the touchdown. Chad Kelly goes head over heels in today's play of the day. That's all for sports. Don't forget, the NIU football team plays the Ohio Bobcats tomorrow at 6:30 at Husky Stadium. NIU needs to win to get the Mack championship, so good luck, Huskies. I'll be back on Monday with more sports news. Stay warm and have a great week.
Coming up, for some international students here at NIU, it's their first American Thanksgiving. We'll explain.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Thanksgiving break is approaching and students are excited about family time. Some students are even looking to enjoying turkey for the first time.
Reporter Sada Kendor shows us some students' first experiences in our cultural tradition.
Green bean casserole. Can I borrow those? It's really hard to say what my favorite thing about Network of Nations is, but without a doubt, we love to get to know the students from many different cultures. And it's important to me as a Christian to love the foreigner who is here. It's part of my faith. And it's just truly awesome to spend my time with internationals, not just students, but young ones like this guy.
Well, we don't usually have a Thanksgiving back in China, so this is my first time having Thanksgiving here. It's really new to me, and I'm happy to be here to experience the culture of Thanksgiving. My favorite food tonight is the salad, where it's cabbages and oranges and nuts.
This started approximately 16 years ago. Ruth O'Donnell began Network of Nations with a consortium of churches in the area to help meet the needs of international students who are coming from a variety of different places. As a group, as Network of Nations, we've come together with people from a variety of churches within the community to help to serve those students.
This is my very first Thanksgiving in life. I've never attended a Thanksgiving before, so I came here expecting to see big turkeys, and I saw turkey, and I had turkey, and a whole lot of people. We do not have Thanksgiving in Namibia right now. It's actually summer. It's like hot and blazing, and but we do celebrate Christmas. So we are looking forward to Christmas right now.
Yeah, it is my first Thanksgiving, but I was kind of familiar with it from the movies and reading all about it. But it's still interesting. The first thing that got my attention was the history behind it, and food. I always knew turkey, but I'm looking forward to see if turkey makes you sleepy or not, because I heard that happens. I'm looking forward to see if that's right or not.
Thanks, Sada.
Stuffing with warm gravy sounds like a good idea, especially with the snow and the cold weather outside. Let's send it out to Emery Dhanes for one last check at our weather station.
Just a reminder, Thursday and Friday we could see a chance of some rain, so if you're traveling for the holiday, be sure to drive safe.
Thanks, Emery. NTC News Tonight is produced and directed by students here at Northern Illinois University. We want to thank you all for joining us.
Enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back the same time next Monday.
Goodbye, everyone.